Ladies and gentlemen, back in the days of the early 60s and 70s, it was a different era to what you see today. And those blokes, they were my heroes. And probably a lot of you blokes here tonight would think so too. And in those days, I was about a half an era behind the bloke we're talking to. He looks about 103, he's no more than 88. And it's, will you make welcome Mr. Brian Mannion. Now no, I'm first. I'm first. Now, I want to know, how old are you really?
88.
Okay, that's right, we went to your party.
That's right.
So, the memory's working. How did you get into Speedway? What you actually started you off?
Started on solos when I was 15, and about 48, 49. Rode that for 3 years. Got hurt a couple of times, and I thought, this is bad. So I gave it away for a while. Then 65, 56 rather, moved over to Brisbane and rode stock bikes and that sort of thing. Then bought Harry Evans's TQ. I raced that at the exhibition. Went broke, had to go back in trucks again. Then finished up in Sydney. Bought a midget, and that was about it. Been there ever since.
Whose midget did you buy?
Laurie Seidels.
Laurie Seidels, 44, 42.
44, yeah. One that Johnny Stewart was driving.
Yeah. Good race car.
It was a heap of shit, but it went well.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so back then there was no roll bars.
No, none of that.
There was none. Yeah, see, Brian's always called them sissy bars. And anybody's got a roll cage as a sissy,
Cow cage.
he'd wear a handkerchief with a 2 bob in each corner for a helmet, and he'd be happy. He's never been any different.
All you need.
Yep, that's all you need, isn't it? Now, you were talking about brakes on brake testing cars not long ago, and we went for a brake test with another club. Everybody's car stopped except, every car failed except one. So we had our lunch and everybody had a good feed. And during the middle of the week I thought, geez, that midget smells terrible. And I found out that it was Brian Mannion's prawn shells. He put them under the seat of my midget. Because there was nowhere else to put them. I never forgave him for that. There's a lot of things we can talk about with Brian. Some of the stories, there's ladies here, so we can't go to that.
No,
we can talk about the Green Park Hotel opposite McGee Injection at King's Cross, Westmead, the showground, you name it.
Westmead was great.
Westmead?
Yeah.
It was good. That's where I started. But you were already an A grader then, so was Howard Revell.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not as old as you.
No, somebody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah, we have. We have.
Fellas.
You're.
I know. They were good days, really good days.
They were good days. There's a famous photo of you doing your end for end bit at Westmead, up above the fence, crowd waving and going on. And up in the air about here was his packet of cigarettes. Because we all carried our cigarettes in our pocket. You had to have something when you stopped. And they were Pall Mall, weren't they?
Pall Mall, the big ones.
Yeah.
I used to get them for nothing in those days.
Yeah, we did.
Sponsored by cigarette companies. There goes the trade again.
Yeah. Well, I'll be eating no lies now. No telling lies.
I can't talk.
Now.
Right. But, what was that car of yours I drove?
Well, I bought a 40-yard car to start with, a Don Hunt car, if anybody remembers that. And it was the old way. You couldn't buy things, you had to manufacture them, and Brian and these blokes, they were pretty good at doing that. And it had a Morris J Van diff in it, if anybody knows what that is. In other words, cut down axles, weld the planetary gears up and go racing. Brian's car didn't. He fractured it in practice one day, and it was a 100-lapper at Liverpool on the dirt. And I said, well, you know, I'm a real encouraged driver. Jump in it and drive it. Well, he did. And he led for 90 laps. And at 10 laps to go, one axle snapped. And the car, of course, if you've driven the old things, they drive like that. And he drove it the last 10 laps, and Sid Mellmus passed him with 2 laps to go. That was one of his the best drive I've ever seen you do.
It was the best. Never done any good after that.
You had one at the showground. There was in the Craven filter rounds, if people remember that.
Oh, yeah.
You had a couple of good runs at that.
Pardon me, the best run I ever had was with Tattersall, Brock, Stewart, all that long in the 67 Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's right.
So good. That was great. Heat races. And you talk about getting upside down. Brock was one of my teachers. He taught me how to go to the fence without hitting it, which I never learned properly.
Yeah.
He taught me what pushing meant, what spinning meant, what understeer was, all that sort of crap. I never get the hang of it. Try as I might.
Yeah, he used to run into a few things, but everybody did in those days. Here's Nursey.
Got scotch in it, Brian.
Yeah, that'll go down good.
I never run into things, they used to run into me.
Yeah, I remember Bob Tattersall said if you put a rock on the end of a piece of string, and the further out the rock goes, the quicker it goes.
That's right.
And he said if you can sit near the fence, if you hit it from a distance, it hurts. If you're up close, it's not so bad.
No, Brock to it.
But he was wrong.
No, Brock's the one.
It always hurt. It would always hurt, didn't it?
Closer you are to the fence, the less you get hurt when you hit it.
Yeah.
Well, I hit it plenty of times. I never got hurt. He's done some damage to the car.
Yeah. So what did you think with the advent of roll cages?
Oh, the Cowan cages, that's when I gave it away. It was in 71. Brought those bloody things in. And every hillbilly go-kart driver and hot rod driver jumped in the midgets and thought they were wonderful because they had a cage on them.
It's big sook.
Stock cars.
And did you have any good races with young Howard over there?
Oh, he used to spin me out every time he got near me.
Did he?
Yeah.
I thought he did, yeah. I'd seen him do that. That's why he won 100 lappers all the
He
time.
had a bigger car and
Yeah.
a bloody bully he was.
A bully?
Young fella, yeah.
Yeah. Well, out of control at that
oldies.
age. Yeah, Howard was the master of the 100 lappers. They had 5 at one stage and he won 4 of them.
He wasn't bad in other races too.
Was he?
Oh, pretty good.
He's
yeah.
good? Yeah.
I'm proud of him actually. I taught him all he knew.
You told me it was me. Jeez, I don't know. And what are you doing? What are you doing these days? What are you?
I'm mucking around with vintage cars.
You've always had vintage cars.
I know. These are new to me. Good stuff. What's that?
Yeah. What do you got
I
there?
had them years ago. Good stuff.
Has it got a cage on it?
Yeah.
Never mind.
The last one I had when they had a cage, when I brought in from America, had to get the cage cut off. Anyway, get a cageless car these days.
Dear, oh dear.
Yeah, it's not good.
That's against the rules, you know.
We've got too many bloody rules as it is.
Do you remember any good things that happened down at McGee Injection Shop at the Cross?
Hell of a lot I can't talk about.
Yeah.
That's right.
I remember one night, Brian, I won't say he was a drinker, but he was a drinker. And Friday night, the Green Park Hotel was just across from McGee Injection Shop, and Friday night you'd find Brock and Kevin Park and Max Linton, Mike Raymond and
Stewart.
all the drivers there on the corner all putting the schooners away. And and they didn't stay too late because they had a race Saturday, and there was a bloke and a woman having a blue on the footpath, and the bloke was bashing the Sheila up. So Brian, in his wisdom, walked over with his scooter and said, "Hey, excuse me, mate, ease up." And then the Sheila got up and knocked Brian arse over head. He got up and decked him. He decked the bloke, but he never spilled a drop. Never spilled a drop. True story.
That's true.
It is, wasn't
Yeah, so Galahad.
it? So
Galahad are right now.
You ran away after he got up.
It is.
You finished your beer though, that was good.
I didn't.
Yeah. Come on, tell us some more stories. What about when you blew the... Was it your car that they blew the
What?
wall out of McGee's shop and
That was...
nearly shot the priest?
Had his engine, had an engine on the dyno, but the exhaust used to go in between the two walls. It was a brick building.
And the church was next door.
That's where they used to run the exhaust into the wall. And Hadley never got this engine flat out and it backfired. And it blew the wall out,
Into the church.
the outside wall into the church.
And the priest come roaring in and said, "He's got me, he's got me."
It was hell to
Oh
do with
dear,
that.
that was good. That was good. Yeah,
A lot of things happened at Hadley's that
there was a lot of things happened
pretty
down there.
Yeah, funny. You can't talk about them, but
No, no. It's got to be something. There was some good tricks played down there and some good times.
we used to start our measures up in the main street of King's Cross. You know, around past the fire station, up past the cop shop, back in Hadley's.
Yeah.
No drama.
And the St Vincent's Hospital was just across on the corner, wasn't it?
That was handy.
We've all been to visit there. And you sure it was Howard who spun you out all the time?
Mainly.
Poor Howard.
But he got spun out twice, both of them.
That was it. Nice going. He won't admit that though. What other cars have you driven? You had
Oh,
the Michelin 10. Well, no, that was street. What was you had? The 88. You've always been 88.
That's mine there.
Yeah.
Done. The first one, what I bought off Stuart was pretty underpowered, an old rail chassis, and side plate holding. But it was reliable, it just used to keep going. And it was only a 30-yard car sort of thing, but if I got a good run at the start, I'd win. Then I crashed that one at Westmead. So I built another car with sponsors. Do this, do that, do everything else. 5 years later, I was still trying to get the bloody thing to go. And a friend over there's got a copy of the car now, rebuilt. But it was a good looking car, but it wasn't any good to drive. But in the meantime, I drove Johnny Pears.
Yeah, it was
62.
91. Yeah.
Used to catch fire all the bloody time. Drove Headley's when it had the coilovers on it.
Yeah, a 13. Yeah.
That used to hit the fence every time you come around the pit corner. It wasn't only me, it was Brock done it, Rushy done it,
Yeah,
I done
they
it.
all did.
Then I got the bullpens and then I got the sack.
Oh. Never mind, never mind. What, how'd you go in the Craven Filter series? Does everybody know what the Craven Filter series was?
The best I done, that was 10th, finished 10th overall. Which wasn't bad, we made good money out of it.
Yeah, it's good days.
Right,
And we all got free cigarettes.
the TQ.
What's that?
The TQs.
Oh, I had Harry Evans' car, yeah. I mentioned that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Then there was the time that Brian he was
Didn't
coming.
have a cage.
They didn't have them. There's no roll.
Didn't have roll bars. There was the time that Brian had the HR hold and the red and white on, HD HR,
yeah.
and his trailer a midget, and they were coming up to Brisbane to race, and he let Peter Nunn drive it. And tell us what happened.
Peter went about 10 k's. It was up near Glen Innes. About 10 kilometres and I over 30. Everything finished upside down. And I'm scrambling to get Esky out of the car. Before it spilt water over my dear wife. That was the only reason I'd done it. Then I got her out. And
Then I got her out.
It got to be here first.
Oh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it, all right.
hey,
Took 2 beers out and kept
so
going.
we got it up on its feet again.
Yeah.
Another group, or a couple of groups behind us going up to race. Tatnell and his crew got everything up out the ditch on its feet, but the trailer had front axle on one side was broken and the back axle on the other side. So I got into town with it. Okay. Everybody jumped in and tried to patch the midget up for the next night, which we did. We got it going. Then Blair Shepherd lent me a trailer to bring the thing back home again. And finished up a good weekend, but an expensive one. But then when I put the hole in it to get it repaired, it was painted red and white. But it's all one side that was damaged. When I've gone to pick it up, they've painted it Mission Brown. See how good it was.
Yeah. How did you fare in Brisbane?
I used to go all right.
All right?
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
had a good time.
What you're saying is Brock and Howard weren't there to spin you out.
No,
Oh, that's all right then. That's all right.
oh, Brock was up there. He was no worry.
Well, I used to watch all you blokes running around. I was in B grade, and I thought, geez, if ever I get a go at this, and then I won an first encouraged race I won. They put me on the rear of the field. I was back marking behind Ray Oram and Lou Marshall, and the sight of all those cars in front, and Howard ducking in and out ready to get a jump, and Mannion scratching his head and saying, which way we going? But it was a sight to remember. But to see all those names that we all read about, it was just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And you featured in the Craven Filter calendar?
Oh, yeah. Only because I couldn't get anybody else.
Yeah, that's right. It was the middle of the week. Yeah, I had to go and prepare the track, and I had to prepare one corner for you for the photos. You all had to sit sideways and look like you're travelling and going quick, but there was no dirt going anywhere.
Well, it was in my car, we had the head propped up for a couple of blocks.
Yeah, make it look like it lifted a wheel.
Off he wasn't going, all the marshals.
We all got free cigarettes, huh?
Oh, yeah.
John Crabbe saw to that, didn't he?
Great forward.
Yeah,
Good to me.
they were good days.
Cigarettes.
Well, what more you got to tell us?
Oh. Not much, I can't remember things.
You can remember it
Too
all.
friggin' old.
Okay, can I ask you, in defence of what you've been saying,
Yeah,
What's that?
that bloke alongside of you,
Yeah.
he'd run into corners, jump on the brakes. And of course, you're travelling behind him pretty quick,
you did
give
it.
him a tap.
Ah, see?
Is that what it was?
You used to brake in the corners.
I didn't have brakes.
Brakes were only for comfort. That's true.
I haven't had
That's
brakes
true.
in those days, gee.
That's true.
They had some pretty good mates though.
Brakes were a lever. If you pulled and the lever come off, you was knackered, but it didn't matter.
And the cut-out button on it.
Yeah,
That's all it
the
was.
chicken switch didn't work.
Oh, that worked.
Oh dear.
Is it true that you did a blindfold walk across Victoria?
Oh, I was there that day.
Where
Brian used to tell us young blokes, methanol won't burn you.
Oh, no.
This went along with the roll cage and handkerchief on the head trick. So we're in McGee's workshop. He says, it won't burn you, right? Pulls his cardigan up to here, plunges his hand in and pours methanol over it. Up it went, see? So he says, look, it's not burning me, see? About 3 minutes later, he says, "Oh shit, the watch band's getting hot," and he couldn't get it off. And you could see the bubbles on the skin. But what he didn't remember was inside the cardigan was wet, and she was having a smoker up under here, under the arm. So, and another time, he'd had 3 or 4, of course, and we were talking about the traffic coming past the workshop going up to the cross. We said, "Look at the traffic." He said, "No traffic out there." He said, "Oh, I'll show you. Look, I'll put the blindfold on," and walked straight across the 2 lanes. All we heard was horns blowing. He fell over the gutter, got up, and came straight back. And he said, "See, no problem." True story. True story. There were witnesses.
Respect for pedestrians in those days,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you proved it was right.
especially in the cross.
Dear, oh dear. Oh, they used to do silly things like that, like Kevin Park and Brocky, and they used to get up to some terrible things. Us young blokes used to think, "Oh, geez, this is what I got to look forward to." So I sided with Howard Revell because he was nice and quiet.
Sure. One night there had John Harvey, right up Plymouth,
Yep.
old Plymouth, painted Neptune colours, blue and white. The old Plymouth had like a sailing ship on the front, the mascot. We had Harvey on the bottom, hanging onto the windscreen wipers, flying up and down Parramatta Road. Slammed the brakes on him and then again. Harvey go backwards and drag the bloody windscreen wipers with him. Luckily none of them broke, or he wouldn't have been a family man at all.
Oh
Probably
dear.
those sort of things today that shoot you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they were wild days. Us young blokes were a little bit concerned at times, I can tell you. Yeah.
Tattersall take Tattersall to the airport one night. All half smashed, of course. And down Bay Street going out to Mascot, I can't think of it now.
Dowling?
No,
South Dowling Street?
no, runs down through the industrial area.
Went past the glass works and that, yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, went past the glass works and whatever,
Yeah,
right there,
yeah,
past the golf course, yeah.
Fly down there, and Tatterstall's in the back seat and I'm driving. And he's playing chicken with me. Got his
Eyesight
hand
test.
over-
Puts his hand over your eyes.
So before he put his hand over the face of more, I put my foot on the floor. How would have hit me? He's got me stuffed to this.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there
He
was.
finished that chicken out first.
Oh dear. Anybody got any questions for Brian? Someone might. No, not you, Farley. You'll go on for an hour.
If I may, as a visitor, I could jog Brian's memory as a teenager. I was at Westmead when the infamous Enferenda and turns 1 and 2. And you were interviewed after that, and the commentator, I don't know if it was Steve Wayne or somebody in those days, said, "Brian, you're trying to get a car for the next heat to come out."
Yeah.
And you said, "Christ, yeah, if I don't have another drive now, I'll never drive again."
The day you went on your head. Yeah. Anybody else?
Did you drive a Don Mackay car, did you, at one stage?
The offie, yeah.
Because I
No, didn't you drive once?
Well, you drove a 75, then I was actually just looking tonight because I bought, well, I didn't, Lenny Steele bought your car off you and put me in it. Right?
Yeah.
And I only ran for 12 weeks at the showground before I wrote the bloody thing off and destroyed it. But I didn't know if I could drive against you, and I'm looking in the program, and I think it's the
Oh,
Australian
Jesus.
Grand Prix, and you're driving the 75, which it's got the Empire Speedway's car. But 75
that
was
was-
always Don Mackay's car, wasn't it?
No, that was 27.
Beg your pardon?
27?
No,
Chevy 2.
It was a Chevy
it's
too.
75 in the program.
Oh, well, it wasn't. It was a Chevy. It was the
75 Empire Motor Speedway.
yeah, it was the Capital Motors
I thought
27,
that's
wasn't
what
it?
made Don
Aye.
Mackay look
The
like.
Capital
Yeah.
Motors car. But the worst thing.
It was a promoter's car, was it 27?
27,
Yeah.
black car.
As I
Chevy
finished up, yeah, Brock and that crowd were looking after him.
Yeah.
The front wheel fell off at one night. I was leading the race. Next night, a couple of nights later, the steering rod fell off coming down the pit turn,
Yeah.
straight into the fence head first, busted my knees. And I wasn't supposed to be driving that night. And George Tatnall lent me one of his race suits. Because when I crashed into the fence and busted my knees, along come the ambulance and just cut everything off.
Oh, yeah.
So I gave George back the seat in pieces.
That Chevy 2, does anybody remember a bloke called Lindsay Olling? Back from the day. That Chevy 2 today still runs, and the things they used to do to race, they had the cylinder head cracked at the front. So they cut it in half, and all they had was a standard Chevy 2 head and one with lovely valves that welded the two together. Lindsay Olling did that, didn't he? And that's how good they were in those days. He bolted them back together. He'd got a little tin of Dulux with a paintbrush, and he painted right around the head gasket and said, "That's a new one." And it still runs today with 4 standard and 4 a 2-cylinder and 2 standards. Yeah, they used to do some terrible things. I walked in there one night in the pits, a big cloud of white smoke. What the hell? Something's on fire. No. They used to put Bon-Ami. If the things were getting tired and starting to smoke a bit, they'd get the revs up, put a teaspoon of Bon-Ami down each carburettor. And they'd rebore them, reseat them, do the valves, and off they'd go. Yeah, and it worked. I did it 3 or 4 times. I couldn't afford new rings, but it works. You used to do some terrible things. Yeah, quick valve did the job.
Brian, one of the cars you didn't mention was the little Burko.
Yeah, the good
Oh, that was
car.
the best car I ever drove, that.
That was a beast, wasn't it?
What?
Great car.
65?
Yeah,
Beautiful car.
yeah.
That's the best car I ever drove, that one. It virtually used to think for itself. It's just done.
Yeah.
Anybody that drove it went good at it. Parky won championships in it. Brock won championships.
Marshall.
Harvey won championships.
Marshall, you?
I'd have won a championship in it.
Well, you tried.
I only got to drive it.
He was a
Drove
good.
it 3 times, I think. At showgrounds, I got a couple of heat races and 2 seconds and a third or some bloody thing.
Yeah.
It was
Good
yeah,
car.
to drive. But then promised the car to Gary Rush. He was in Perth at that stage. And when Rushy come back, they put him back in the car. And I think I went with number 3.
The Sid Reed twin.
Yeah, no,
The blue one?
God, I can't even remember. Ronnie Ward.
Ronnie Ward's car, yeah. The Sid
Jumping
Reed car.
Wardy's car, but he had a supercharged Peugeot. And the thing would go like the clappers for half a lap, and then it'd bust a chain. The chain would come through the bonnet and take my hat off. So the next week he'd put a double chain on it, and he'd do 3/4 of a lap before it let go. Another crash out. This went on 4 or 5 times anyway. I gave it a miss. See you later on, I went with Pearsey.
Yeah, a 91 car,
And
wasn't
he
it?
put, oh God, can't think of the bloke, ever, can't think of his name. Anyway, he put this other young bloke, a hell of a nice bloke, and put the Climax motor in it.
Yeah.
I finished second ahead 4 nights in a row. He's winning and I'm back in second. I should have been winning bloody thing myself anyway. That's how it was.
Never mind. What was one of the hardest races you had?
I never
All of
know.
them?
I,
All of them.
no, I enjoyed
They were
every
good.
one of them. They're all good.
Good. All good.
All good.
All good. Any injuries?
Oh,
Not hangovers, injuries.
no, I was pretty lucky there. Walked away. All the injuries I ever got were on the bikes. Every time I got on the bike, it would bite me.
No, they're crazy. They're crazy. And no more questions for Brian?
Yeah, just
Brian, you
Oh.
told me about the time that you went to the Speedway with Ronnie Ward. He came and picked you up, and his mate got out of the front seat to let you in.
Oh, yeah. Rod used to pick me up on the way to the Speedway of a Saturday. And he had an old panel van. So he pulls up Saturday evening. As I go out, this bloke jumps out of the passenger seat, climbs in the back. We're getting along there, and Ronnie's talking away, and he says, "Oh, mate of mine in the back there, Jack Braden." I nearly fell out of the bloody seat. There's Jack in the back of the little bloody junk, and I'm sitting in the front seat. So they'd been mates for years, Ronnie Ward. And,
He was a regular at the Royal. He'd come and give the trophies. And
oh, yeah.
he loved hanging around the Speedway. Good man, nice man.
The other night up at Liverpool, I was only up there as a spectator, and a good old mate of mine was with me, and Jack's up there on the little stand in the pits. Well, a bit of a chat to him, and this mate of mine's looking wide-eyed. When I went back, he said, "Was that Jack Brabham?" I said, "Yeah." Oh, he was in awe that I knew Jack Brabham. That's all. Right. But Jack was just an ordinary bloke.
Yep.
He was. Top fella.
Yeah, good bloke, good bloke.
But that's where he started, Speedway, the midgets.
Yeah, at Sports Ground and Cumberland Oval.
Yeah.
Good to watch. His car's still going.
When did you actually retire, Carl?
Uh,
Stop racing.
When cages come in.
Well, I go to where the coward cages come in, that was in 71. Then the bug got me in about 83. So I bought a Volkswagen. And they had to have a cage. You couldn't get it without a cage. So I ran that for a couple of years and then ran out of money again. My big problem, run out of dollars. And we were getting paid to do it those days. So it's got me stuck how these blokes could be doing it today when they've got to pay to do it.
Yeah, hopeless. Now, Brian Farley's been busting his thing to ask you a question.
Oh no, just a story you told me once where you come up to Brisbane. I think you said with Peter Caneen and a few others. It was a 2-weekend affair or something.
Oh, goody.
Come up and Wanless used to do some fighting in those days. So
Oh.
he said, "Why don't you just come up
Oh.
and watch me at Ipswich or something?" Fight this professional bloke."
That was Blair.
Yeah, that's right at his boxing career. Got a big fight up at Ipswich. We were all invited up there. So Blair Shepherd's, Ronnie's given this bloke $100 or something to lay down. Shepherd's got a lawyer giving him $200 to knock him out. Ronnie comes bouncing out in the first round, all choked
Like
up.
Dickie.
Bang, 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 and he's on the floor.
And he got $300, eh?
So then he found out who'd done it. Blair gets up next morning to go to work, and there's a lump of 5-ton rock sticking in his driveway. They used to do that to each other all the time.
Yeah. There was some cruel things done. Well, we've been told to wind up. Oh, hang on. What do we
Just
got?
the LTQ day. There's 13 guys there. There's Brian in the front row there. But he's called Fred Perry.
That can't be Brian Mannion wearing a suit and tie next to Bob Morgan, I'm telling you. That's your brother,
Where?
the one with the suit and tie on.
Good, say, where was that taken?
Shangri-La. Shangri-La, man.
Oh dear.
Presentation night, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was good then.
There's 13 guys there. There's only 4 of us still going.
Yeah.
We all let her go on the TQs. They were good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've enjoyed it.
Thanks
Hope you've all enjoyed having Mr. Mannion here.
Sorry, thank you.